Hi guys, and welcome to a new video. Today we are going to make this wooden barrel here. Um, I recently posted that on Reddit and people had really high interest in a tutorial, and so here we are. Before starting, I would like to address some points. Some people mentioned that the modeling isn't accurate or realistic, but I just want to say yes, you're right, of course, but just bear in mind that this is a stylized barrel for my scene, and let's start the tutorial. Let me start by showing my shortcuts here over here. Um, and okay, let's switch to the front view and add a cylinder, and let's give it 16 sides. And now we can scale this one in z-axis, like so. And let's give it 4 edge loops. And now we switch to proportional editing and make sure smooth is checked. And now we have more control over the other edges and scroll with the mouse wheel to influence more things. And I think this is actually perfect, right? So as a shape. And now we can select everything here in the middle, make sure nothing else is selected, and make an inverse selection by hitting Ctrl I. Delete every other face, and of course you should also scale. Now you have two options. You can go to the modifiers tab and use a solidify, and then you have like control for later if you want to change anything, but I just go ahead and extrude the whole plank like this. Good. Now we need to bevel the edges, so select everything here and hit N to open the transform sidebar thingy, and set the mean bevel weight for edges to 1. And now we can go to the modifiers tab again, add a bevel. Limit method is weight, and let's give it a width of 0.002, maybe even bigger. We have to check that out. Make it shade smooth, and go to the properties down here, this green triangle thingy, and set the normals to auto smooth and 60 degrees. And also we should give it 3 segments. Now we can add a subsurface division modifier, and let me see if the bevel is perfect. I would like to keep it like that, not too sharp, to be honest. Okay, so this is mostly the hard part. Now we can copy that, and let's make sure our pivot point is set to 3D cursor. In case you just moved randomly your 3D cursor like so, you can hit Shift S, and the left bottom option here, cursor to world origin, will fix that for you. And now hit Shift D and you're moving it, but don't click on your mouse buttons, just keep it like that, and then hit R Z 45, and now you can left click. That's because we did that so that we can now use the repeat function of Blender. Now hit Shift R, and you see it does the same again and again for us, and it's super easy. Good. So now we are going to create our texture, and it's super easy because actually you're going to use this one here. I will leave a link. It's from Google Images and it's super high res, so we are going to use different parts of this image. And as you can see, there is no normal map or roughness map or whatsoever like in this here, because we are going to create our own in Blender, super easy and fast. Maybe let's make them a bit taller, right? Like that. Good. So give it a material and bring in our wood texture and give it a mapping texture and texture coordinate. I use just a node wrangler add-on. You all know it, I guess. So let's add a color ramp because we need to make this texture, that is just the color texture right now, to be black and white, and we do that by using this color ramp and then put it into the roughness node input. So now you see we have some reflectivity, but it's super shiny and too much. So we can influence it by using this slider here and slide it to the left, and I can show you how it looks like actually. This is like how it was before when it was too shiny, and when we move the white color value more to the left, only these dark parts are going to be shiny. I think it's actually not correct this way, that this grooves and creases are shiny, but I mean it looks good, so I don't complain. So this is how it looks right now. Perfect. The next thing is we also need a small bump, so just copy the color ramp again, and let's add a bump node. This goes into the height input and the normal goes into normal, and this is way too much, we just don't need that much. I would say like that, this is enough, right? And let's also add our own environment texture, and I'm going to use one from HDRI Haven, so that's a super nice source, and you guys should definitely check him out and think about supporting him, because he's doing such a really nice contribution for all of us. And I think the bump is still too much. Okay, good. And let's make it transparent for now and switch to okay. So let's switch to UV editing tab, and now we can go back to shaded rendered mode, and this one here is already unwrapped, so like all of them have the same unwrap right now, because all of them are the same basically. Now as I said, we are going to use different parts of this texture, and you can just scale it a bit so it's not that big, but make sure you are still in the textures, otherwise you would have some weird, like, okay, that's not visible here, but like you see these weird seams, so let's keep it inside. And I like for the first plank to be like really you see like this wet and dirty texture, so I go to the side, and you can also scale it in X so that this detail isn't stretched. And now just make a selection around and unwrap that too, and rotate in the UV editing window into rotate it in 90 degrees and scale, and look for something dirty and like that, dirty and dark. Oh, there's some stretching issue. Weird. So let's go and make sure. Oops. Make sure it's not stretched. So okay. What is the problem here? Let me fix it. Why is it stretching? Is it because I did this? Yeah, it's because I did that. So I did stretch it too much. Yeah, usually it shouldn't do that. I guess it's also because, yeah, okay, fine. So we fixed that by adding a loop. I guess it was because of the bevel here, but I didn't encounter that until now, so weird. Okay, fixed. So now we have to do the same again, right? And let's just give it the same material. And this time we are going to use a different part of the texture, and this looks already fine. Let's also unwrap that and rotate, scale, and I think this is good. So we have basically to do that again and again, and so I will speed that up. Okay, so here we are. Um, Now we need just to select all of them and join them together. And I see this one is perfect, so that's fine. Um, okay, so now we need just to select all these edges and Shift D to make copy of them, and P to separate from the other object. And now we can mark them, all of the vertices, hit W and merge them together. And now we can hit F and unwrap, and now we have the top. Also scale it a bit. Okay, perfect. And since you're not going to see the bottom, I don't care about it, but you can just like also extrude this downwards and give it some segments like that, you know, and do again the same to resemble the shape of the barrel, and then maybe okay, like this. And now you have also bottom, but I don't think it's necessary. Also, this gets rid of the like wedging through the gaps. But as I said, I don't care for that. Um, so let's get rid of that. Perfect. And make this one a bit smaller. Okay. Maybe not like this. Okay. Now we have to take care about the metal rings, and that's also super easy. Just add a circle and extrude inwards, and make sure your pivot point is set to individual origins. And now you can give it also a bevel first, set it to angle, 0.002, 3 segments, and 0.75. And now you can also, the limit method should be angle, and now you can add a subdivision surface and just scale it until you hit this point here, you know, so like this. And maybe it's a bit too thick, so let's also fix that. Uh, Okay. Yeah, this is how I like it. And we can now just copy, and I think 3 is enough, but it's up to you how you like it and how it fits your style and your scene or whatever. And make sure it's again just touching it. Okay. Um Also, now we can go back into this object, and now just hover over one of these planks and hit L, and now it's selected. And just move it up slightly, the next one down a bit, then a bit more even. This one can stay, this one can go up, this can go even higher, and this one can go down. Perfect. Now you have to make sure this one is again correct, and now everything is a bit, you know, um uneven. Let's switch to cycles. So here we are in cycles. Let's make sure the performance is correct. Okay. Now we have two options. I mean, this one looks already actually cool. Now let's make the texture for the metal. You rather, I mean, you have two options, whether you're going fully procedural or just use a texture. Going procedural is of course nice and also easy, but in that case, I wanna actually use the texture. But anyway, I show you really quickly the basics. So like, you know, it's metal, so it has to be fully metallic. And then the next thing is you can use a noise texture and a color ramp, and again with these mapping nodes here, set it to object, and this goes here. And now you can use this noise to create whatever you like, you know. Also make sure this goes to here, and maybe even more. And you know, there are different kind of textures you can use for that. There are different kind of noise textures, but usually I use this one. And you can also make it like, I don't know, like this. And now you have already like this pattern. And for the coloring you can use also for the coloring you can also use like this kind of stuff, and make this maybe to that, or maybe reddish. You know, there is a ton of things you can do, and again you can use that also as a normal input and give it a bump, and you have to turn that down. Okay, and here you can also scale the stuff a bit if you like, right? So this would be the way going procedural, but you have like, if you want it to look good, you have to put a lot of efforts, and like it takes a long time. Like this looks crappy right now, but this is like how it would work. We are going to use CC Textures. It's a super nice website that I really recommend. This guy is doing all the textures by himself, and he's alone, and it's also like he has really good stuff, and it's also licensed free for free, so you can use it. And he is really a nice guy contributing Okay, so here we are. This is the texture I want to use, and we are not going to use every single of them because it's not really necessary for such a small detail. But actually, I think we are not going to use the color. So we are going to use the roughness. Set it to non-color. Put it in here, and this one can be deleted. And then metal. And you notice it's super buggy, and we have two options here. You can use the UV map, and it's a little shitty, and you can unwrap and use cube projection, right? Or you can just use object and set it here to box, which has the almost same result. But I don't know, you can look yourself what you like more, or maybe there are differences but not that much noticeable. The only thing is like set it, like scale it really up so it's super tiny and scratched. And also we can use the displacement or normal. I just want to use it here like for the bump map, so it doesn't really matter which one you use. No, let's set this to non-color, and this goes in here. So here we are done with the tutorial. I hope you liked it, and you learned something new. So I would be really happy and appreciated that you would leave a comment, a like, or any feedback. And I hope you stay tuned and come back for other videos in the future, hopefully. And thanks for watching and your time.